Good morning. My name is Mark Brunton. I'm the Park Incident Operations Section Chief, and I'm going to give you your briefing for today. The past 24 hours have been quite significant as far as our fire activity. We've been seeing some significant fire behavior over the past couple days. However, yesterday, again, challenged our resources and challenged our plan. And I'll go around the fire, explain where we're at, and some of the challenges that we faced in the past 24 hours. So in the western part of the fire, we're not seeing any really changes at all. Everything's looking pretty static as it has been over the past few days. We are continuing the mop-up procedures, and then in the lower part of the fire, suppression repairs. So in our branch 5 and branch 10, that's where we're seeing that suppression repair element. So that's going on, having great success with that, and getting that put to a sense of normalcy on that part of the fire. As we move around the top of the fire, again, there's one area that just due to the topography and mainly the fuel types, very decadent old brush fields that are very challenging to mop up. Just a lot of fuels in there. And with that, we have been working diligently over the probably past week or so at this point to be able to go and take care of those smokes. As it gets hotter and drier, things flare up, and crews are having to work very hard, basically burrowing into that brush literally to get to those hot spots and extinguish them. When we have the opportunities and they can utilize aircraft, the helicopters, they're going in there and suppressing and assisting those resources. So that's kind of the last one bit that is a bit of a thorn on our side to finish up that whole portion of the fire. As we move around to the right shoulder of the fire, our branch 15 and 18, that, again, has been our most stubborn part of the fire and continues to be so. With that, the branch 15 being in the Tehama Zone, branch 18 in the Butte Zone, that is that whole Mill Creek drainage that, as you recall, maybe about 2 days ago at this point, the fire decided to get up and move out of that drainage due to the weather conditions as it got hotter and drier, and made significant runs challenging our lines on both sides of the drainage. It did jump the lines on the Tehama Zone part of it and got into some very receptive fuels. The resources there were prepared with some secondary lines and with their resources. However, with the fire intensity that we saw, then that was a super challenge for us. In which cases it really stressed our resources to continue to go after those slopovers and spots. However, they've been going after that with a lot of vigor. They've had to do some firing operations a couple times. It has helped and sealed off portions of it. Yesterday, they fired Highway 172. That had pretty good effect, started getting some good depth on that to give us a buffer. However, with the conditions as they got hotter and drier throughout the day, the convective columns raised, the pyrocumulus effects took place, and it threw a lot of embers and spots, created its own weather and wind. There is no that natural wind from any direction. It basically created its own wind, which created the spread of the fire throughout that area. So crews were chasing that. They were able to successfully fire 172. They were able to save a lot of cabins in that area and structures. There was no loss of those, and were able to fire around that. It was looking really good. And then late yesterday afternoon and evening, we saw, again, more spots over that line. So we've had to back off, and currently, starting last night and throughout the day today, firing Highway 36 in that area. So again, that's going to be a continuing challenge for us. And we've also, beyond that, have contingency lines that are now becoming our alternate lines, and we're putting in now true contingency lines beyond that to continue to spread, to stop the spread of the fire as it moves to that north and east. There have been contingency lines in place in the Shasta Zone moving down and around the national park. So that is going to hopefully keep that within that those containment lines. However, we're looking forward beyond that, that if it were to get into the park, is to work with the park personnel and our federal partners on opening up some old lines that we used in the Dixie Fire that we've gone back, found maps and so forth to potentially reestablish those lines if the need were to occur to protect the park. If we move down into the Butte Zone, into that branch 18, as the fire challenged the lines there outside of the drainage and did get onto the rim, they were able to jump on many of those rather quickly, reduce the amount of the fire front that came out of the drainage. However, they were challenged, had to use some of their alternate lines and a couple contingency lines to stop the fire. Did some burning operations there with a lot of success, and they've had a lot of good success there, even though they were finding that they were encountering some very adverse weather conditions based on the fire activity. Again, fuels-driven fire, topography, and that is what is created our challenges. Today with the weather, we are seeing a slightly better weather situation, although ever so slightly. So it's not to give us any complacency. We are still going to plan for the worst, and we are putting those plans into place, putting in those contingencies, and moving our resources and adjusting our resources to the two priorities of the entire fire, which is the branch 15 and 18. So those activities are taking place as we speak. There have been some increase in the evacuation warnings and orders into Plumas County. Should not be really affecting very many people, most of that very rural area, but we are looking that far forward out that if the fire is to continue in that direction, making sure that people are safe and that they are adequately advised of the oncoming fire. Again, very rural area, long time to get people out of that area, so we're just being very proactive to protect those assets and the lives in that area. As we move down the right side of the fire, again, looking really good in those communities in Butte County, Butte Meadows, Cohasset, Forest Ranch. A lot of still calls for service. We have a lot of resources in there mopping up, continuing to mop up. That's going to be an ongoing thing for the coming days, but it is looking a lot better for those communities, and as they are starting to settle back into some form of normalcy. And then suppression repair in the lower parts of the fire that have been fully mopped up and moving into that suppression repair element. We continue to have assistance from out of state with our resources from the states of Texas, Utah, North Dakota, Nevada, and Arizona. I've been very appreciative of the help that they've provided. They've been working really hard for us. Also with our National Guard assets, we've had a National Guard hand crew asset that came to us around 100 personnel a couple days ago working in the Butte Zone. A lot of them working within that Cohasset and Forest Ranch area, helping mop up in those zones. And that's been a tremendous help, and we appreciate that hard work and efforts by the National Guard. Additionally, we will be receiving a National Guard asset for the Tehama Zone, and they will be coming in this afternoon. We'll get a full in-brief, and we'll be starting out in the line tomorrow, assisting with very similar operations in that zone. With our air assets, we're continuing to see the same amount of rotor aircraft that we've had over the past few days. They've been very active as the fire has gotten active. They've been flying many missions to support the ground personnel, and they will continue to do so as the conditions allow in regards to the smoke. Fixed-wing aircraft, we've been flying our fixed-wing aircraft again to support our troops on the ground with a lot of success, and they've been flying multiple missions. And for today, that is the latest update. We are continuing to adjust to the conditions that we are being thrown, and we do have plans in place, and we are utilizing those plans to the fullest to meet our objectives for this mission.